One of America's most beloved songwriters was Irving Berlin. Jerome Kern said about him, "Irving Berlin has no place in American music. He is American music." Irving Berlin came to the United States as Israel Violin at the age of 8 to escape persecution in Siberia with his family. His father was a cantor. He ended up in Lower Manhattan, and at the age of 11, he was working as a singing waiter, earning money for the family. He became a true American rags to riches success story. He founded ASCAP, the American Society of Composers and Publishers. He lived to be 101. He was named by Forbes magazine as one of the most successful composers of all time, earning over $7 million in royalties alone. He donated money to the Boy and Girl Scouts of America, and he was a patriot through and through. Irving Berlin composed over 1,200 songs on a special transposing piano. It had a lever underneath. You can see it in the Smithsonian. Because he himself was a self-taught musician, and he needed an arranger to notate his music. Irving Berlin was a genius, but he could not read music.
One, two, three.
What good is a fancy motor car if you haven't got an ear for music? You haven't got a thing at all. What good is a ton of caviar if you haven't got an ear for music? You haven't got a thing at all. What good is a sack of gold if a jazz band leaves you cold? What good is a mansion, large or small, if you haven't got an ear for music? You haven't got a thing at all. For that job as Irving Berlin's arranger? None other than George Gershwin. Whew. Irving Berlin, of course, wanted to hire him, but he said that it would stifle Gershwin's talent, and of course, Irving Berlin was right. So Gershwin traveled to Europe. He never was secure of his talent, and he thought he needed to study with some of the great classical masters. So he asked Maurice Ravel in Paris if he would give him lessons in composition. And the story goes that Ravel has said to him, "Monsieur Gershwin, why do you want to be a second-rate Ravel when you can be a first-rate Gershwin?" He also asked Igor Stravinsky, with whom he played tennis when he was working on films here in Hollywood. He asked Stravinsky if Stravinsky would give him lessons in composition. And Igor Stravinsky asked him, "Well, Mr. Gershwin, how much money did you earn this year?" And Gershwin said, "About $100,000. And he said, "Mr. Gershwin, why don't you give me some lessons?" So most of our American composers wrote waltzes, but not George Gershwin. Actually, By Strauss was his only waltz. It was used in a revue directed by Vincent Minnelli, and it was a great success on Broadway. But when it came time to publishing the song, Gershwin met with resistance from his publisher. I'd like to read you that telegram. Mr. Gershwin, the verse is unusually long, and it would take up at least 3 pages. Is there anything you can suggest that would help us to get the number out in the usual amount of 2 pages? Here is Gershwin's reply to this telegram. Dear Selma, I'm very sorry that the verse to by Strauss is so long that it requires perhaps an extra page in the publication copy. But then it's always been my policy to give the public a lot for their money, and I think it would be a good idea to put on the title page, quote, this song has an extra long verse, so you are getting more notes per penny than in any other song this season, unquote. In other words, dear Selma, I would like the song printed exactly as I wrote it, with not a comma left out. Love and kisses, George. Thank you, my dear. Away with the music of Broadway. Be off with your Irving, Berlin. Oh, I give no quarter to Kern or Cole Porter, and Gershwin keeps pounding on tin. How can I be civil when hearing this dribble? It's only for nightclubbing sousers. Oh, give me the free and easy waltz that is Viennese, and go tell the band if they want a hand, the waltz must be Strauss's.